Okay, now we're in module 2. So module 2, first of all, we're starting off with, who is a fashion lawyer, then the skills that you'd require to be a fashion lawyer and the responsibilities. So who is a fashion lawyer? A fashion lawyer is a lawyer that is specialized in the legal issues that affect fashion businesses, fashion companies in the fashion industry. So usually fashion lawyers have a clear understanding. They know the law. They have an understanding of the law and they know it, right? And they also have a clear understanding of the workings of the business of fashion. So for you to be a fashion lawyer, you need to understand the industry. You can't just jump into the industry without understanding what the industry is about. And something that is really peculiar about fashion lawyers is that for you to be a fashion lawyer, you have to be an exceptional lawyer first. You have to be excellent. And if you're specialized in a particular area, you have to understand that area to the dots. Like people should be able to come to meet you. For instance, if it's tax, people should be able to come meet you and ask questions and be, cleared on it. If it's, mergers and acquisition or investment, you need to have a clear understanding of the area that you're specialized in. So first off, you need to be excellent as a lawyer and you need to understand the industry. So now let's jump into the skills of a fashion lawyer. I'm just going to do this according to, will I say, scale of preference. So we're going to start with the communication skill. Right? It's important that you communicate right. That is a skill that is key with lawyers. Like you need to be able to communicate right with people, you need to be able to communicate right with your client, you need to speak fluently. So in this instance, you have to develop your communication skills if you have an intention of becoming a fashion lawyer. Next up, you need to have people skills. Like you need to be able to go out, network. Fashion law is an emerging area. So you need to be able to say, okay, I'm out here, I'm, networking with people that are in this industry and, I have value to offer them. Like I have good value to offer to them. So it's important that you have excellent people skills and you are friendly with people, you relate well with people, you follow up with people. I know why I'm emphasizing on this because it's important. It's really important that you understand this. Next off, we have the drafting skills. You need to be able to draft agreements, you need to be able to draft a lot of things. As a lawyer, you would draft. You would draft and you would draft. So it's important that you learn, you develop your drafting skills, and this is something that is taught in schools. Eventually, we'll look at the, education opportunities as it relates to fashion law. That's like in lesson 2. But you need to understand that it's important that you know how to draft. And when you're drafting, you need to pay attention to detail. So that brings me to the next skill. You need to be detail oriented because creatives are very detailed. Like they are super detailed in designing, in putting their products together. So it's important that you are detailed as a fashion lawyer. So when you're drafting an agreement, for instance, you need to look through the lines, and you can also, you can give another lawyer to help you review it, because it's important that you are detailed, okay? It's important that you're detailed and you're working with detailed people. So you need to be excellent in that area. Next up, you need to have negotiation skills. Like you need to understand that you'll be attending transactional meetings, you'll be attending meetings with your clients on, like partnerships, securing investment meetings like that. So it's important that you know how to negotiate. It's imperative that you understand the ropes that relate to negotiation. It's super key. So it's a skill that you must have. You need to be commercially aware. It's a skill. Being commercially aware, it's a skill. You need to be up to date about the industry news. You need to pay attention to the trends in the industry. You need to understand, like several factors that related to the fashion industry. In this instance, you need to research, be commercially aware. Be commercially aware, know the market, know the trends, know the regulations, know the laws. It's imperative. Like this, it's so important that you're commercially aware, because that can, help your clients. That can help your clients in like several instances. So as a lawyer, it's important that you have this skill that's being commercially aware in check. It's very important because it can take your business, or your client's business rather, from one point to the other point. That's from like 0 to 100. So please don't joke with any of the skills that I've listed so far. Next up, we have the litigation skill. Litigation skill is equals to excellent lawyer, or being an excellent lawyer. So like it's something that is important. So you need to have proper litigation skills, and it's something that you can develop. You can develop basically by researching, taking part in like, court activities and several other things. So it's important that you develop this skill equally. Next up, we have the creative problem solving skill. I like this particular skill for one thing, because it's peculiar to the fashion industry. It's peculiar to fashion law. It's peculiar to fashion law because, like fashion law is novel, and there are specific things, or there are specific issues that your clients will bring to you. And in that instance, you have to be innovative, you have to be creative. You need to understand that, okay, I have to be solution oriented in order to solve this problem. So it's important that you have a creative problem solving skill here. Next up, we have the analytical and research skills. You need to research. Like, I can't overemphasize how much you need to research here. Like, you need to research as a fashion lawyer. You need to research as a lawyer in whole, because researching would help you, create solutions for your clients. Researching will help you, like point out certain things that you need to like point out and understand. So the analytical and research skill is key as a fashion lawyer, and also as a lawyer in whole. Next up, we have the time management skill. The time management skill is important. In any industry at all, time management is important. You might be working with different creatives, with different industries, with different brands. And in that instance, you need to manage your time effectively. In working with your clients, time management also comes in here. So you might have to deliver certain documents, you might have to be at a particular place at a particular time. It's important that you have this planned out. So you might have or work with apps like, Calendly or Google Workspace. And that's like dependent on you, but it's important that you manage your time effectively as a fashion lawyer. So now I'll be talking to you, or be teaching you about the responsibilities to be aware of as a fashion lawyer. As a fashion lawyer, you should be able to answer the question, what are the vulnerabilities that must be spotted to protect your company from risk? So you need to understand the big picture. Don't think, okay, oh, I'm just thinking about now, I'm just thinking about, oh, this particular transaction. Yeah, it's important to think about a particular transaction when you're in that particular transaction, but it's important to also have like a clear perspective into the future. What is the vision of the company you work with? What are their values? What are their goals? How can you as a lawyer help them achieve the goals that they have set for themselves? How can you prevent them from, having issues or like facing certain issues? You need to be forward thinking. So now we'll be jumping into the responsibilities. The first responsibility is to understand the law. You need to understand the law. So here, lawyers as a whole, you have to read. You have to read and understand what the law entails. To be a fashion lawyer, you must be a qualified lawyer. And how can you get qualified, or how can you become qualified? To become qualified, you need to take the bar exam, go to law school, take the bar exam, pass the bar exam. And after you pass the bar exam, then you become a lawyer, right? So in that instance, you can decide, okay, I'm specializing in fashion law. And in specializing in fashion law, you need to understand several other legal disciplines. We'll come to that in lesson 2. So upon taking your bar exam and passing your bar exam, you should understand how the law is applicable to the fashion company that you intend to provide solutions to. And that's not just from one stage, it's from the initial stage to the final stage. The initial stage would involve business structuring. Corporate law will come to play here. So like you're thinking business structuring, what type of company are you going to register, or is your client going to register? There are certain documents or agreements. If they're like there's the shareholder agreement, there's the founders agreement, there's the partnership. There are several agreements that you need to be aware of. There are several documentations you need to be aware of at the initial stage, and you need to make sure that it is finalized. You need to make sure that it is clear. So it's important that you understand the law. I'll be jumping into the laws very soon, so yeah, still stay tuned. Next off, you need to understand the business of fashion. The business of fashion is so interesting. I really like the business of fashion, the same way I like the law. The business of fashion, it's important that you understand the trends, it's important that you understand the market, it's important that you network, you know what's going on in the industry. You need to understand the peculiarities that are applied to the fashion industry. So for instance, there is fashion companies usually have advert campaigns. So what's your responsibility as a fashion lawyer in this case? You need to understand, okay, as it relates to the photographer, the videographer, maybe the branding manager. You need to have a clear understanding of the industry. And how can you get an understanding of the industry? So you can have an internship, or you can apply for an internship with a fashion company and just provide value. Value is what matters. Like, value is key. There's a movie that I would always make reference to. I don't know if I've made reference to it in any of my past course, but I'm going to make a reference to it. So that's The Founders. There was a particular part in the movie where okay, I'll just give a backstory. So The Founders is about Ray Kroc. That's the founder of McDonald's. So he had his business going on and he was not making so much, right? And eventually there was someone that he came across that told him, you're not doing this particular business. The business you're into is not food business, it's real estate business. It took a level of clarity for that particular person to understand that, okay, there's potential here, and I see the potential as this. So it's important that, yeah, you're delivering agreements, you're delivering, legal services to your clients, but you need to be value-oriented and think about, okay, how can I help this business advance forward? What value can I add to this business for it to advance forward? How can I get this brand and investments? You need to think in that manner. You need to think like, okay, for instance, if the creative or the client has a certain collection that you feel would not fly, put out your idea there. Like, put out your idea to that creative, to that client at that point. So it's important that you understand the business of fashion, because if you don't understand the business of fashion, then you would only be talking about the law. So there's something really peculiar, again, about lawyers. And the peculiarity is the fact that we handle detailed documents. We handle, confidential information. So as a fashion lawyer, it's important that you avoid the costly miscalculations or mistakes that can affect the fashion company that you work for. So as I stated earlier, as regards to the skills, you need to be detail-oriented. Read through the agreements while reviewing agreements, while drafting an agreement. Make sure that the agreement is in the best interest of your clients. While you're, there are several issues, or there are several mistakes that people have made in the past that have been costly. So even with the, employment agreements, you need to make sure that the intellectual property law clause is tight for your client. You need to make sure that the confidentiality clause is tight for you, like it's it's favorable to your clients. Also, a particular mistake that people have made in the past or creators have made in the past is using their names to start up their business, not understanding the fact that on the long run, that name would belong to the business. As you understand that, businesses are a separate entity. Businesses or companies are a separate entity. They can take a life of their own. They can, I like to speak about companies like people, like you're saying, okay, this particular company is like a friend. I don't know. That's how I like to speak about companies. So it's important that you understand certain mistakes that people have made in the past. Research in order to understand these mistakes so that you can avoid them. A major mistake that I earlier mentioned is the mistake that relates to, reviewing agreements. You need to be detailed in reviewing your agreement. You need to be detailed in the clauses, and basically this would help your brand. This would help your clients, right? When you are key and consistent on avoiding mistakes. So the next responsibility would be for you as a fashion lawyer to build a relationship with your clients. This is where people skills and communication skills come in. So you need to make your clients comfortable enough to understand that you as a lawyer are the counsel, the guardian of the company. Like, you're there to protect the interest, the value, the goals of the company. And if you don't have that relationship with your clients would not be comfortable to, share certain information, share certain documents. You need to be reliable. You need to show your client basically that you are a friend and that you're there for your client's business, for it to grow, and not just, okay, I just want to make money. You're there to ensure that your client's business goes from 0 to 100 or goes from 5 to 100. Yes, you're a lawyer and you might not have the creative skills, but again, the creative problem solving skills will come in play here. So it's imperative, it's necessary that as you go out, to network and to build future relationship with potential clients, you're key on developing solid relationships that, is built on value, is built on the future of a solid goal being delivered. As a lawyer, you need to understand that your clients, as maybe an entrepreneur or the CEO of a fashion or lifestyle company, has the primary aim to see that company excel. And what do you do in that instance? You need to make sure that legal issues are catered to effectively, right? So here, please, I would state again, build solid relationships with your clients because it's really important. So I hope you have looked inwards and looked at the responsibilities, the skills, I hope you have an understanding of what fashion law is at this point. I hope you have a clarity on the misconceptions of fashion law, and also I hope you understand the particular industries that are under fashion law, that fashion law caters to, and the subsectors that are linked to these industries. It's important that you have an understanding of all this. So below, you would have access to several workbooks and research materials that would enable you to further understand all that has been discussed. Thank you for being a part of lesson 1, and now we'll be moving on to lesson 2. See you.